Welcome back to another Starbelt Video Portal production. Today we're going to take at least one last look at the gardens that I've been growing this summer. It's now officially autumn here in Canada, and let's take a look around the gardens and see how they progressed over the summer until now. And we'll try harvesting a couple of things and see what we got. So those everbearing strawberries are true to their name. Even now, at the end of September, I've got some juicy strawberries, and she's still blooming. Also in this box, we have some very lush looking carrots. These are the ones that I thinned and transplanted and thought had died, but they ended up dying at first, but then coming back with a vengeance. So what I want to do is dig one of those up and take a look, see how it looks. This one here looks pretty good. I didn't even need the shovel for that. How very interesting. Let's take a closer look at that. The soil in this particular planter box was only about 4 inches deep. And you can see I have a really fat carrot. There's my finger for scale. It did really well for a transplanted carrot, but it's kind of like it hit the bottom of the box and then started to curl around. Isn't that fascinating? So yes, you can grow carrots in 3 or 4 inches of soil, but they might just end up curling back on you. So my lesson learned here is if you want to grow straight carrots, probably should have about 12 inches of soil minimum. Pretty cool though. Something that ended up being a real surprise this year was the squashes and melons that ended up volunteering out of my compost, which is sort of hidden by all this leafy canopy here, and they really took off. They're still blooming. You can see some blooms back there. And they just kind of like keep going, kind of overrunning my little trees and pots there. Most of the summer they bloomed and I didn't really get any fruits, which was a common complaint I heard from a lot of people. But it now appears that I'm starting to get some fruiting bodies. I don't know what that is down there, but she sure is big. During the heat of the summer, they didn't make the fruiting bodies, but now that it's getting colder and the days are getting shorter, they're getting quite prolific. One of these squash plants came all the way down here and all the way over here and grew through the border fence here. Look what I got happening here. I do believe that is a pumpkin. Here's my hand for scale. I've got this massive pumpkin just growing in behind the fence there. I don't even know how I'm going to get it. I'll either make that into a pumpkin pie or a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. I'd say it's already about a diameter of 1 foot. Really quite incredible that it grew on the opposite side of the fence there. Here's my carrot box, the one I originally planted and the one that I thinned out. This soil is deeper. Let's take a look and see what we've got. And let's go with this one. So that looks more like what you'd expect a carrot to look like. It's not the biggest carrot in the world, but at least it's straight. Looks like it did well. I don't see any signs of critters or infestation there. That's gonna be delicious. I'm gonna chop that up into my stew tonight. In the neighboring box to the carrots, I had this mint plant. If you have mint and you're worried that it died, I wouldn't worry about it. It's kind of a late sprouter, but after a while it just takes over. Those leaves are very edible and delicious, and even the blooms, quite nice. Over here we have my bean box, and it's mostly played out. Even in a small 2x4 box, I got a couple of meals worth of beans out of there over the course of the summer, which was really quite a pleasure. Here we have my overgrown bit of garden, my broccoli that I let go. Some of it's still blooming, some of it I've got like seed pods that I should really harvest. Again, I transplanted some of those unknown squashes from my compost up here, and again, they really took off. You can see all the way down the garden they go. And kind of like the back garden, they had a lot of blooms this year. but not a lot of fruiting. Except I do have a little bit of fruiting. Let's take a look at what those are. So I've got this enormous one down here. No idea what that is. I'm gonna have to cut that open and take a look one of these days. My tomatoes did extremely well this year. I have harvested 5 rounds of tomatoes out of these 8 plants, and they're still going. It's getting a bit colder at night now, but I still have lots of tomatoes coming for round 6, I suppose, and some of them are even ripening. I'll probably pick these green in a couple of days before it gets cold and put them in paper bags so they can ripen up faster. Here's my gorgeous green lawn. I think the wee leprechauns like to play in it. Taking a look at my trees that got ravaged this year. The cherry tree did put out this shooter that I've allowed it to do just so it could have like some good leaves to help it grow. I'll probably prune that back because I like to keep my fruit trees dwarfed. And the apple tree did something similar. It's got this shooter it put out the top. And same story. I'm gonna let it go so it can make sugars, foods for this apple tree, help it strengthen up for the winter, but I'll prune that back. I wanna keep it sort of within arm's reach of picking fruits. My peach tree sapling did extremely well. It's about 6 feet high. I never dreamed it would get that big. Alas, my poor little cherry tree hasn't come back. It looks pretty dead. If I gently bend those twigs, they're still a bit elastic, so I'm gonna keep it in over the winter and see if it comes back in the spring. I really hope it does. It was like a 3-year-old sapling I transplanted that the bugs just destroyed. And then the little tiny peach tree that was only 1 year old that I planted this year also did quite well. I'd say it's doubled in size. Check out my chestnut tree. I'm gonna have a bumper crop of chestnuts this year. I actually wear a hard hat when I pick up the chestnuts off of my lawn down there because, no lie, it hurts when those things fall and land on your head with all those little spiky boys. Here's my front garden that I've been trying to remediate since I pulled out that poisonous tree last year. And this is the patch where I had all of the garlics that died back. It's peat, and my lesson is to not try and grow garlics or much of anything in a mostly peat soil, but look at this. Now that it's fall, they're trying to grow again. This cover leafy plant seems to be doing well, holding its own. I like having it there. I've got an iris kind of growing out of there. Oh, look, my little friend is on camera. Look at him go. Where are you going, little bud? What do you see over there? He's camera shy. He won't look at the camera. I've got more of that leafy lily, whatever it is, interspersed with irises over there. And this is a parsnip that keeps coming back every year. I just let it go to seed so that it can propagate more in that zone, because it seems to be one of the things that'll actually grow in the soil. And then here, these guys are leeks, and I should probably harvest them and grab those seed pods and replant them because they seem to do well. I'm actually finding that bulb-like plants do well in this soil. But I see that my oregano also did quite well. Back there is my chive. Again, it's a bulb-like plant. It's doing well. Irises or tubers, they seem to do well. There's a bunch of clover in there that's died back, which is great. I find that clover remediates soil, adds nitrates for sure. Up there you can see my clover boulevard, which is doing really well. Used to be kind of a wasteland a couple years ago, riddled with weeds and just sandy soil. But now it's doing really well. And what's this? I didn't plant that. Let's go take another look at that. So here again we can see my clover cover crop that I planted when I pulled all the weeds out of here, and it's done really well. It's really greened up the boulevard. But this is a huge surprise. It looks like a sunflower. And I did not plant this here. I can only imagine that perhaps someone was eating spits and spit one out here, or a crow delivered a seed from a sunflower somewhere else. But look at that. Baby sunflower growing in what used to be ungrowable soil. Well, thank you for watching my humble little gardens. I hope you enjoyed what you saw here today. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe if you have not done so already. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.